Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case replying to a question that I got through Instagram. It's Fairfile308 if you want to follow me there. There it is in the description of the video. I'll also leave a couple links in Amazon of some of my favorite Victorinox tools, and also you have the links for my books. If you're interested in EDC, Practical Survival and Preparedness, you have Street Survival Skills, which is, you have dedicated chapters on EDC, the kind of stuff that a lot of you guys are probably interested in terms of gear, practical, realistic survival, bugging out and relocating, and surviving the economic collapse, which is kind of a big topic these days. Links for all of that below. And again, I'll leave the links for some of the Victorinox models that I've liked the most. So the question was about, I don't remember exactly if it was what's my favorite Victorinox, or the Victorinox I've used the most, or if I could only pick one Victorinox, which one would I go with? So I'll reply to the three of those, I guess. First of all, let me just say this. My idea of a multi-tool these days is going to be a Leatherman. You know, I've been carrying this for many years now, and I think this is the most complete multi-tool you can have. I did a video recently about the Leatherman Charge aluminum version, which I think is also very good, but this is for me where it gets into the best multi-tool you can have with you at all times, and that's what I recommend people doing as well. I know it's a little bit bulky, the clip makes things a lot easier, and you eventually get used to it up to a point where you just cannot go through your day without your multi-tool in your pocket. It's at least that's the way it is for me. Whenever I don't have it with me, I really end up missing it, and more often than not, it is living in my pocket. So some of the Victorinox models I've used over the years, and the ones I've used the most, I started with this. I think this is the Spartan model, which has just a basic blade. And look how worn this is, because I've used this as a kid for many years. A smaller blade on the side, and it's surprising how well it still stays together. A can opener, small screwdriver, large screwdriver, and cap lifter. I changed the scale because it broke at some points. It was just too damaged. And you have owl or punch, and corkscrew for opening bottles. So this is, as it is, a great tool. It's compact, it's lightweight, and unlike your Leatherman, which is going to be going for 200 bucks and more, these are usually quite affordable. The one I like the most of these basic models, I think, is the Farmer, which is basically the same thing, but I have, instead of the corkscrew, I have a Phillips screwdriver, large. I have the punch owl or rammer, whatever it's called these days, or whatever the proper term is, with the hole for sewing stuff. I've used that a couple times, not a lot, but every once in a while it's been kind of handy. And besides the other basic tools, what I have here is a very decent saw. And the saw, especially for outdoors, this is my choice for whenever anyone needs like a Victorinox for a kid. If you're starting with scouts and that sort of thing, anyone is starting interested in this sort of stuff, this is usually my advice, the one I recommend the most. Now, having said that, the limitation with this is that this blade does not lock, and that can be a huge problem. It can actually be quite dangerous. I know, because I've gone through this myself over the years. Getting used to it, you just get used to the idea of always pushing in a certain direction, and eventually you get to a point where, yeah, it's still pretty safe as long as you're careful. Still, there's a possibility of this closing in your fingers, especially when you're used to locking blades. That's even more likely. If this is your only pocket knife, you kind of get used to the idea of never doing that, so always pushing in the right direction, but still something I like to avoid. One of the first Victorinoxes I bought for myself, still as a kid, and yeah, I think I started already high school, if not, it was just about, but this is one of the serious big boy Victorinoxes that I got for myself. I lost the little ring there for whatever reason, but man, this has been great for me over the years, especially when I first started going camping and that sort of stuff. This locks in place with this neat system. It's not bothering you whatsoever. It's very comfortable. I'll even say it's more comfortable than the current Soldier. Not by a long margin, but it is more comfortable, just more rounded in general in this area. So this has been fantastic for me. I use this a lot and taking very good care of it, as you can see, but it's been used quite a bit, still holding on well, because I try to take care of my tools. I try to be careful, even though sometimes you push that limit a little bit, but this has been fantastic. Don't remember, I think it's the Pathfinder model or something like that. Someone in the comments let me know. It also has a very nice pair of scissors. I'm not that much of a fan of scissors in general, but if I have them, I'll take them, man. Especially these ones that are a little bit larger. These are quite nice. You have also you know, your screwdriver, cap lifter, wire stripper, you know, small screwdriver, can opener, and then you have a fantastic great saw. And I say that because it's even larger than the one that is excellent in the Leatherman. In the Leatherman, you have a great saw. In this one, in the Victorinox, man, it is even bigger. I mean, it's not bigger, it's longer, and that's what you want in a saw. You want it to be long. This one is great. This one is a fantastic saw, and I've cut, you know, so many times it just came in handy, and I really like this multi-tool. It's very similar to the current Soldier model, minus the scissor, and again a blade that does lock into place, which is the way it should be. I would say that for today, if you ask me today for a kid, get him a Soldier model, something that actually locks into place. It's gonna be a lot safer. Now here I have the serrated edge. I rather have this kind of straight edge, really. This is a great blade geometry, super, it's like a spear point, very nice. It's a drop point kind of thing, yeah, but I like that better than this. This is, of course, this is the Soldier model, and you know, giving the theme, soldiers are not exactly all knife people that know how to sharpen blades correctly, and usually you will see that in more utilitarian military kind of tools, they kind of end up being fond of the idea of a saw, so as to have something that with a little bit of force will have enough of an edge to cut whatever needs to be cut. Now with people that know knives a little bit better, usually that's not really much of a thing, because you know how to sharpen knives. That's why in higher end knives you will rarely find a high end blade that is serrated. It's not saying that this is not a high end knife, because it is. Victorinox makes some of the best, especially considering the budget, the price. These are fantastically well made pocket knives and tools. But usually when you look at something that's intended for a connoisseur, so as to speak, usually you will not find a serrated edge. So this one is pretty much the same thing. Great saw as well there, and you have a Phillips screwdriver instead of the corkscrew that you have over this one. A great model. Now one of the models I've used quite a bit in the last few years is this one, because I was living in a place where anything with a locking blade got you into trouble. So this was for quite some time, for a few years, this was my EDC knife. Whenever I couldn't take my Leatherman, because it would have been a little bit tougher if I had to explain that, this was my pocket knife, and it did very well. It's been very, very well used. As you can see, I modified, did a little bit of a clip point there, but yeah, does the job. Doesn't lock, which kind of sucks. With a little bit of ingenuity, you kind of put your fingers like so, and you have more control. This has been great. This, of course, I would miss having to go back to this instead of having my Leatherman, but nice saw, not as great as the one I have over there, but still good enough. Bottle opener, which I rarely ever use, and yeah, the screwdriver. And one of the things I ended up using quite a bit. And yeah, you have the screwdriver, the corkscrew, and the tiny screwdriver, but the owl or punch, this has been very useful for making holes in wood and plastic. Whenever that sort of job was needed, this ends up being very, very useful, and it works quite well. If you have to do a hole, this works very nicely, especially with how long this is, which is longer than the ones in those other ones. Now, the one I probably use the most over the years has been the Keychain one, and this is the Mini Champ model that for so many years I've had as a constant companion. Tiny blade, Phillips screwdriver, which is extremely well designed, works very well in a number of screws. Tiny scissors, tiny, but you have them. a pen here, a light, and on the other side I have this nail file, a nail cleaner, which also works well as a larger flat Phillips screwdriver, a tiny emergency blade, orange peeler that I've used as an owl so as to punch holes into plastic and wood more than once. One of these cuticle pushers that works like a larger flat screwdriver, and one of these little rulers with a small screwdriver there as well. So this has been very good for me over the years. Now, given that I always have something bigger and better with me, I went with a scaled down version of this because honestly, I will always have this more likely than not in my pocket. So having a larger mini tool in my keychain doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And after trying it for several years, I found that this one, the manager, gives me the essential tools I still want to have in my keychain. So I still have the fantastically well designed Phillips screwdriver, a blade for whenever I don't want to bring out my bigger folder, a pair of scissors, and a file and a flat screwdriver, and most of all the pen, which comes in handy very often. And since I usually have a flashlight with me, instead of having that tiny LED, I have a pair of tweezers. So this is the one that these days I'm using the most. Now, the question as of what's my favorite one, man, that is very hard to answer. I guess that my favorite one would be my favorite one, and the one I choose if I could only have one, would probably be this one. This is the locksmith model. So if I had to stick with just one, the one I carry the most is probably this one in my keychain, followed by this one, or maybe one of these models. This is something I took specifically. I EDC'd it back before EDC even existed, but not very often because it was large-ish. So this one would be the one that got dropped in my pocket more often. But if I could only have one, it would be this one, the locksmith model. Locksmith model is basically similar to your soldier, but instead of having a serrated blade, boom, there you go, a straight edge, which is beautiful blade for you sharpening, and you have a nicely shaped blade that locks into place. I'm missing a clip though. With a clip, it would be even better. It would be perfect with a clip, but I don't have that. I guess you could do some sort of arrangement there, but nice big blade that locks into place. I still have flat screwdriver. This is oversized, intended to be used for prying, and it locks into place. So this is specifically intended to be used as a prying tool as well, not just a big old screwdriver. You have the can opener and small flat screwdriver there too. And on this side, I have a big saw, just like in the other ones, which is great. I like having that one. But also I have this great tool, which is a large metal file. This means that with this tool, you can work metal. You can cut small pieces of metal. You can work metal in ways that no other these other tools allows you to do. And it's one of the tools I like the most in my Letterman is a diamond coated file. And this file just comes in very handy many times. Here I have it in this tool as well, and that's a big addition for me. On the other hand, on the other side, I have the same old Phillips screwdriver, and I have the punch or owl there as well, and the toothpick and the tiny tweezers. So yeah, this is maybe the model I feel is more complete without having unnecessary weight to deal with. It's also very comfortable to open one-handed. Just I don't know what it is, but it just works very well for me. Yeah, that's basically it, guys. My take on Victorinox, the models some of the models I've used the most over the years, and the ones I found to be more practical. Everyone has their own favorites, and probably for someone else it's some other model. But these ones I think are some of the more complete within their range. Something very compact, something handy to have in your pocket all day, something a little bit larger but a lot more capable, and the tiny keychain ones that still are fantastically versatile, tiny little tools. Guys, that's gonna be all for now. I'll leave the links for that stuff and my books there below. Take care. See you on our next video. Have an awesome day.